I'm doing my zine outside today because I want to enjoy the last few days of nice weather before it turns really cold. But I made a zine, and it was about the slow media thing that I did, and I called it 1 Week of Radio. I kind of drew a radio, and I thought that was kind of cool. But let's see what I did in the experiment. Okay, so first page, mindful media. Never heard of her. And that's because of all of these things right here. And I made these little app icons. You recognize probably all of these from your iPhone. So the first one is Safari. Always just having the answers right at your fingertips. Not really thinking too hard about what you're looking up. Maybe you could figure it out or ask somebody. Music. You can skip, you can play, and you can find any music that you want in the entire world at your fingertips. Definitely if you have Apple Music. Maps. You can just find the directions right away, even if it's in your hometown. FaceTime, you don't actually have to go and talk to people. You can just FaceTime them, and that usually does the job. It does the trick for most people. Messages, you can just text people. You don't have to write anything, think too hard about it. There's even text filler-inners things now, so you don't even have to spell your words correctly. Camera. Thousands and thousands of thousands of pictures just taken and saved right to your camera roll, and you can access them at your fingertips whenever you'd like. Built-in watch, right? A lot of people honestly don't know how to tell the time, like seriously. And the calculator, simple math questions. Why waste time doing that when you could just go to your calculator and type in 15 divided by 5 and just double check that it is actually 3. So it's a real thing. Second page, I drew kind of swirlies, ADHD. I want you to check out this guy that I drew because I think it's really funny. He's trying to do homework at his table, and his phone's kind of hooked up to the charger outlet in the back, and you can see it buzzing with notifications and stuff, and he's just sweating because he's trying to do his homework, but he's thinking about all of these things up here. And I wrote down, your message was emphasized by, a new album dropped, your pre-order came in, this person just posted on Instagram for the first time in a while, somebody liked your photo, Donald Trump just tweeted. That's what he's thinking about. He's not thinking about whatever's going on in the assignment. He's thinking about all of these things and how interesting they are to him. I just thought that was funny. And so kind of what I wrote at the bottom was, my brain is constantly creating all of these distractions. Things that don't actually matter, like these things. Things that don't actually matter, but you just kind of create these distractions in your head to avoid doing something harder, which is usually thinking, like critically thinking or whatever. Okay, so awareness. So this kind of goes back to the first page. These things go hand in hand. So instead of doing these things, what I put in the awareness page was things that you could do other than this. And it's a little bit windy because I'm outside, so I really hope you can hear me. So instead of Safari, you can ask somebody a question. Maybe they know who, starred in that movie. Instead of skipping, playing, doing all of your music junk, you can listen to an album the whole entire way through. Instead of using maps to get around your hometown, you can start memorizing directions and road names and east and west and highways and stuff, because people literally, to get to my house, don't even know what road I live on, and it just blows my mind. Instead of FaceTime, you can meet up. Instead of messaging somebody if they live far away or anything like that, you can write them a letter, because I found that I learned in one of my classes that people really like that a lot more. Instead of taking pictures, you can print them out, put them in a photo album, hang them on your wall. And then instead of doing a calculator, you can trust yourself and think about the answer. Because seriously, so common. Like, I'm not acting like I'm immune to any of this stuff. I know this stuff because I do it. But, just like 1 + 1, just making sure it equals 2. Or like 50 divided by 5. Like, let me just make sure that it equals 10. Like, I do that every single quiz I take. And it's bad. So then we are at the experiments. This is what I did for my slow media thing for this week or whatever. So I bought 6 CDs. I bought The Very Best of John Lennon by John Lennon. It had 20 songs on it. It took me about almost like an hour and a half, hour and 45. Rubber Soul, that was quicker, probably about 45 minutes by the Beatles. Sublime, this is also like 45 minutes, like 35 minutes. 17 songs on that one. It's self-titled. Time Takes Time by Ringo Starr. So yeah, definitely 3 out of 6 are Beatles, but I'm obsessed. And then Live at Winterland 68 by Janis Joplin, and there were some other people on it, but it was majority of her. And then Pieces of Me by Avril Lavigne. And you can see how many songs are on there, and together this probably took up, I would say, yeah, probably about 6, 7, 8, maybe almost hours of me listening to this stuff, which is like a normal screen time for someone during a day. And so the task was to listen to these CDs all the way through, no texting, no scrolling, no distractions, no skipping, nothing. So then, my feelings. So this is how I just felt about the individual albums. So for the first one, which was John Lennon's Best of John Lennon, was my favorite song in there was Watching the Wheels, and my comments were just like, he's a genius, he's the greatest of all time. It's a lot slower than some of the albums, like definitely like Rubber Soul, like his Beatles albums. A lot more rock and roll there, a lot more alternative. On the Rubber Soul album, my favorite was Girl, and it's my favorite album by then. And it sounds kind of country, definitely like Drive My Car and, you know, Think for Yourself, those kind of things. Lots of symbols, though. When I was listening to it, there's a lot of things that I didn't get the first time, like Drive My Car. It wasn't about driving a car. It was about, like, a girl, you know, trying to be his girl because, I don't know, it was just, I picked up a lot more things than I had done before. Third one is What I Got, reprised, so not the original, but, like, kind of like the rough version of it. It was my favorite album to listen to out of all 6 of them. Very funky. I didn't like when they did the Spanish thing because I couldn't understand it, and there was some stuff that was really heavy metal, and I'm not really into that. My favorite was Golden Blunders on Ringo's album. He does sound like an old man. Like, I read this thing a while ago. It was like, I make music for old ladies. And I was like, I listened to this, and I was like, oh, it's just funny. But, it was really slow, really country kind of sounding, really Ringo. Good lyrics. So if you ever heard like Octopus's Garden or With That Little Help from My Friends by the Beatles, like those are just a bit different sounding than like the entire album of Rubber Soul, which is basically Lennon and McCartney. I'm sorry, that was really nerdy, but you might not care. Okay, so for the Janis Joplin one was The Magic of Love. This was a different feeling for me. My grandma was like, that passed away a couple years ago, was really into Janis Joplin, so I got this album almost like a tribute to her, and she's like my new top 5. I really enjoyed this album. I cried tracks 10 and 11. This was one of them. The other one was Summertime. It was just awesome. And this was like, I love Avril Lavigne. She is like my girl, my icon. I've always loved her since I was a kid, so I got one of her albums, listened to it all the way through, really enjoyed it. My favorite album by her, it talks about a lot of girl stuff. Yeah, just like empowering, really rock and roll. I really liked it. So then here was my reflection. So past, present, and future reflection on my experience of listening through all of these. So my past was, there was just simply so many things I had missed in these albums before. I had listened to a few songs off of these albums, and I thought that I loved these artists, and I thought that I knew them, and I talked about, oh, they're my favorite, but I really didn't even know anything about them or their music. I just liked one of their songs that made it to the radio. For present, I was able to relate to a ridiculous amount of lyrics when I started listening to them and really diving in and digging into what they actually were saying, instead of just like taking the title and assuming that it meant this and this and that. It usually doesn't mean anything like you're going to think it is. Don't judge a book by its cover. Same case scenario here. The title and songs connect. Something I never really thought about before, but it's true. Like, titles and songs, like, it's just crazy. They take time to create these things. They think of it, and so everything has a meaning, and it's really cool to think about. For my future, my reflection kind of thing is, like, I want to continue to buy these CDs and listen to them until they annoy me. something that I liked about this was that I've been wanting to collect CDs, but I haven't done it because I'm just always distracted, and I'm always just, oh, I'm going to do it here, then, and then, and then, or I'll just push it off and do this instead. And I was happy that we got to do this because it forced me basically to do something that I've been wanting to do. And what I wrote at the end here is that it just simply makes you appreciate the artist a lot more, and for their craft and the time that they took to make this and all of the thought processes behind it. It was awesome. So what? Okay, so what is the last page. And this is a question you wanted us to answer. And what I got from this experience as a whole was to take a step back. Just like take a step back and think about what I'm doing, actually think about it. Like, thinking to myself, like, do I need to be doing this? And when I say that, like, do I need to be taking my calculator out right now and figuring out what this really simple math problem is at the grocery store? Or, you know, am I taking the easy way out? Am I doing something am I looking something up on Google when I could just be, like, thinking for, like, 35 more seconds about what it could be and coming up with a reasonable conclusion and remembering, like, an actor's name, like I said earlier? And have I challenged myself today? And this is just basically about growth as a person. Like, have I challenged myself today? What have I done today? So I drew a little line. If I did challenge myself today, if I did one of these things, if I thought that I challenged myself, I thought critically, I did something that I wouldn't have normally do, I did something that wasn't convenient, I did something, I took the hard way instead of the easy way, then take a break. You know, go on your phone, go in the grocery store, type that in real quick, get on with your day, go home and read a book. You know, challenge yourself in that way. There's ways that you can use this convenience. If you haven't, then to stop being lazy. Like, challenge yourself. And, you know, pick up a book when you get home. You know, if you don't challenge yourself, you go on your phone, you do a computer, pick up a book or read that magazine. Ask somebody for help. You know, ask the cashier if they know what the answer is. Ask them how they got that answer, maybe. Stop avoiding responsibilities. And that kind of goes back to what I said just a couple minutes ago about how I was just avoiding getting the CDs and doing what I wanted to do because I was just somewhere else. And be conscious. Don't rush to answers and decisions. So just kind of like the whole entire point of this whole entire thing to me was to just slow down. The whole entire thing is just to slow down. You know, stop rushing through. I had a reason why I wanted to do this one is because I had a huge problem of skip. Oh, I like that part. Oh, it's over? Okay, skip. Like, I'm not going to listen to the rest of the song. Oh, no, you know, you got to challenge yourself, and you got to take time to go through these things. You know, go through the motions sometimes, and it's really beneficial because after this entire thing, after I'd listened to that album, I felt like I accomplished something that day, even though I sat in my bed or I sat outside and stared at a wall or stared at the sky for like 45 minutes. I felt like I did something because I challenged myself, and it's not something I would have normally done. And it wasn't the easy way out. I could have just listened to one album or gone on my phone and listened to the album and only saved the songs that I was enjoying after the first 30 seconds. But I didn't. I bought the entire album. I'm stuck with it. I listened to the whole thing, and I really enjoyed it front and back, and I enjoyed every piece of it because I wanted to. So, I really enjoyed this experiment. I enjoyed making these zines once again, and thank you. I hope you enjoyed this video.